Hey everyone, welcome back to the studio, and today I'm here to bring a video for you guys. I'm going to be talking about Heartland Season 15, Episodes 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to be reviewing them. I know some of you have been waiting for this review for a while, so I wanted to get it out to you. I'm sorry my mom's not here to join us. We've been having a lot of family stuff recently, but I still wanted to get this video out, even if it's by myself. And I do have a lot to talk about, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So let's start with episode 8, titled Brand New Day. It says, Hudson hosts a Lumberjack competition, and Amy must retrain a Clydesdale and his owner to compete in the draft horse race. Tim throws his hat in the ring, and Lou tries to avoid a date with Fred Garland. So, let's go ahead and start with the whole Amy's storyline. So, pretty much, she visits Al Cotter, and who's one of the competitors in the draft horse race for the halftime show for the competition. Turns out that his horse Butch is blind in his left eye, but Amy still thinks that there's a chance that he can still compete even with him being blind, but that means they need to take the blinders off, which means that she's going to have to retrain the horse to get him to not freak out when there's something different in his vision. I gotta say, have we seen this before? Probably, but it still worked for me. I mean, I think Amy's storylines actually this season have gotten better when it comes to working with horses, and how, you know, although there's some repeating aspects still in there, I think it still works out. Here's the good news is that they're able to train Butch and get him ready for the competition, and he does really well in it. I thought the shooting was great when we just saw like this perspective of the horse and just him being able to see out of one eye and the other half is like black. I thought that was really great perspective because I don't think we've ever seen that before. But I thought that was a really great directing choice, I assume. So yeah, we saw Butch did really well. Meanwhile, Amy has been bonding with Al's grandson Finn. And they're kind of, I don't know, forming a good connection there. Amy admits that she's feeling a little bit guilty about being so happy after Ty's passed away because it's been almost 2 years. And pretty much Finn says it's time for her to take the blinders off and face reality that she does deserve to be happy. I thought that was a good moment. I thought that taking the blinders off was actually a good theme for a few things this episode. I think it was good for Amy to hear like the advice from, because it is something that you can struggle with. Like, I feel like Jack had this last season too, him being guilty for being happy that Ty wasn't there, you know? So I think it's a good theme, and I'm glad Amy's kind of, you know, struggling with it. I'm glad this Finn person can give some advice to her. We also see that she's kind of worrying about Spartan in a sense. She's doesn't want to, I don't know, force anything on him because, you know, he's getting older, he's aging. So Finn gets him correct shoe sizing, and then by the end it looks like Spartan's kind of back to his old self in a way. I mean, sure, he's still aging, but Amy has one less thing to worry about. So I think it's good that we're focusing on Spartan a little bit. I kind of forgot about him, to be honest, because it's been a little while since we've really seen much about Spartan, but I really like Amy's dynamic with Spartan. Okay, so we move on to the Lumberjack competition. So Tim is jealous of Jessica's relationship with a former friend named Ezra. Turned out they used to date. Turns out that Jessica is going to be taking some pictures at the Lumberjack competition, so Tim decided that he wants to enter the competition so he can show off to Jessica's New York friends that he's valuable or a good person. So, and I thought that was such a Tim thing to do, to want to make himself look good, but I also kind of understand where he's coming from here. So, Tim did really well, actually. I mean, he really outdid pretty much everyone there. I think it just shows that, you know, he still has that energy in him that he can do well. Because he pretty much beat both Caleb and Sam. And then the other people competing were Finn and Evan Garland, who's Fred Garland's brother, and he was actually pretty good. But here's the good news: is that you know, Tim's the best one there. So I think that's all that matters. Okay, so let's talk about the whole Fred Garland thing and Tim. So he keeps asking Lou out for a date and everything. Sure, started out as they were both organizing this competition, but it turns out that he has these hidden feelings for Lou. I mean, he's been hiding them really since season 12. So he asks her out for a date. So they end up going to a pub place where we meet Fred's brother Evan, who starts flirting with Amy, and Fred's flirting with Lou. So it's kind of like an awkward double date knot kind of thing. And he keeps trying to impress Lou. He puts chili flakes on his food to try to impress her, but he ends up choking because he doesn't really like that. So he has to perform the Heimlich maneuver to she has to do that for him. So Lou saved the day once again. We also got that from when she saved him from the river, so I guess it was like a parallel, and I think it shows Lou's not all business. She can still have some action scenes too. Also at the pub, I did really like this scene between Amy and Caleb, I do want to mention, where pretty much he says, I'm glad to see you getting yourself back out there, even if it's just, just talking to a few guys. And I really like that. I think Amy and Caleb is one of the best friendships on the show, and I think it's good that we're seeing Amy bond with someone. I mean, sure, we saw it, we see it with Sam and Finn a little bit, but I just think Caleb's just a really good friend, and I like that he's there for her. As far as her Amy's romantic love life goes, and I don't want to get too into this, I think if we're going to talk about who's the best option for her, I still think Sam probably is, if we actually want to explore that, because I don't think this Cooper person's coming back, so we can throw him out. If they want to bring Finn back, maybe, but I feel like Sam's the most likely to stick around, and maybe next season that could be the person that she goes with. However, the season 15 finale doesn't bring that in, but I think if we does get renewed for a season 16, I feel like Sam is the most likely to be her next love interest, which I think works, because I think that would be good for her. And then pretty much Lou says that she's not interested in Fred, which I think we all kind of knew that. She admits that she's involved with Peter, even though it's not they're not officially back together yet, but it's just something in the works. And then I also wanted to say that Caleb in the tree, that was funny. I think that was good. Okay, I also wanted to bring up Jack's whole storyline with Al Cotter. It turns out they have some bad history because Al used to work at the ranch. Jack's father hired him. It turns out that he tried to steal Lindy away from Jack, and he kept asking Lindy out even when Jack proposed to her. So they just had that tension between them. But I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure if they'll bring this back. I mean, they don't really make up at all. But, I think it's an interesting rivalry. I think it's good that we're bringing different pieces of Jack's past, especially this season, into the show. While I don't think this is as significant as his whole storyline with his father, I think it's still good for him to get some closure. Will we eventually get that? I'm not sure. But if we keep seeing Finn and Amy hang out, then maybe Jack and Al will have more opportunities to talk. So overall, I don't think this episode was as good as what we previously see. I feel like it was very different in how it was structured, and I think we saw more comedy than anything else. I do think these next two episodes are better. However, I think for what it was, like a fun little episode. I think it was kind of a filler episode in a sense, but it had good moments. But let's talk about episode 9, The Long Game. Amy enters Spartan into an endurance race after realizing he's not ready to retire. Jack is set on gentling an unbroke horse despite the danger. Lou and Katie reveal hidden feelings while camping. So let's talk about it. So pretty much like what the synopsis is, Amy wants to enter Spartan into a race, an endurance race. So it's not necessarily like which horse is it's not really which horse is the fastest, but which one can keep going for the longest amount of time, which I think is good for Spartan because he might not be the fastest one there, but you really got to make sure your horse. It's kind of like cross country versus track in a sense. Cross country is really endurance, I feel like, and I think that's kind of what this horse race is. It's like a cross country race. So Caleb also enters, and we have this Evan Garland character. I don't know why he's back in this episode, but they're competing, and Caleb really wants to beat Evan Garland, but Amy, of course, is just focused on winning. First of all, I'm also glad we keep seeing this Amy and Caleb friendship. I think that's great. I think, I don't know. I feel like Caleb's actually been in this season more than I expected him to. He was actually in, I think, 5 episodes, which is a lot, but, I like how he's integrated into Amy's storyline and how he can be a good friend to her. So Evan pushes Caleb off of his horse, which means he's out of the race. So it's up to Amy and Evan, and they race. And guess who wins? Amy, of course. I mean, Amy can't lose. Come on. I did really like this whole thing, though. I also like that Scott was back. I think Scott being in it is different. I kind of wanted him to have a scene with Lou, to be honest, but for what it's worth, I definitely think Scott being around again was pretty cool. I liked his friendship with Amy. I thought that was cool. So moving on, I also wanted to say that Evan, he's obviously pushing his horse, and I think if he wants to get better at racing and he wants to get a better attitude, he needs to rely less on his horse, because he's obviously putting something into his horse. I didn't really understand. He's pushing his horse too hard is the problem here. And I think he needs to be careful for where he goes for that. So we also see Tim and Logan. They're at the race and they're kind of bonding because Logan is not answering his dad's phone calls. And pretty much Tim gives him the advice that he needs to pick them up because he remembers when Amy and Lou wouldn't pick up his phone calls and how upset he was. He realizes that he can't fix the past, but he can work on the future, and he's glad that his kids gave him a chance. So then Logan picks up his dad's phone call. I mean, not that we needed this storyline, but I think it was a good parallel and a way for Logan to get some inclusion into the story and to shine a light into his personal life. I did like that. I like how Tim is at a point in his life where he can be like a guidance. He can like share guidance with people and advice, and I'm glad he's matured like that. Meanwhile, we see Jack is working with a horse named Blue. Stumpy gave him up, and apparently this horse is pretty wild. I mean, he's trying to gentle the horse, and it turns out that because Jack is getting older, he almost wants to kind of give the horse something because, you know, sure, he's not, how do you say, it's less about him and more about Blue, I think is what I'm trying to say. He told Amy that he wants him and Blue to be friends, and he's not going to give up on that. Especially because I think Jack really misses his friend, like Will Vernon, for instance, and I think he really wants to not give up on this horse. He says that to Lisa, and I thought that was really good. And plus, he also doesn't just want to sit around all day and be lazy. I mean, Jack is so much more than that, obviously. So I thought the Jack storyline, I liked seeing him do what Amy normally does. I think that was cool, a little change in perspective. And I liked how Amy also wasn't just working in the pen with a horse. She was actually going out and doing something different. I like how this episode we saw a little change in the characters, and I thought that was good. And then finally, Lou and Katie went camping. Lou's kind of stressing out, and it's apparently different than when Katie goes camping with Peter. Pretty much, Katie reveals that she is upset because she always had to hear Lou and Peter arguing in the walls. And she was upset because when they split up, her and Peter, She was always so upset, but she never felt like she could speak her true feelings. I thought this was very interesting to get Katie's perspective into this, because she's right. But we also never really saw Katie, so it's a little bit different. But I also totally understand where she's coming from. I mean, if my parents were fighting and I had to hear that when I was younger, I mean, I'm sure it happened at times, but not to that extent. I'm sure it would be very difficult to hear that, and you wouldn't know what to do. You can't really speak up because Katie was probably like not that old by then. I think she's probably like 11 by now. I'm pretty sure. The actress looks like she's around that age. But pretty much she says that she's totally fine the way she is now. Which it almost looks like that maybe Lou might not get back together with Peter. Next episode things change, obviously, but that's kind of where we leave off here. Overall, I think this episode was good, not great. I think it's kind of on the level of the last episode. When we get into the season finale, which I'm about to, I think that's really good. It's probably maybe one of the best of the season. My personal favorite is episode 5 in the cattle drive. I think that's my personal favorite. Okay, so let's talk about episode 10, titled Leaving a Legacy. Amy debates what to do when she receives money from an unexpected source. Lisa's racing plans are in jeopardy after an accident. Tim worries when Jessica is hiding something, and Lou makes a big decision. Just need to take a deep breath. This is a lot to talk about. Okay, so let's break it down. So, Amy gets money from Ty's mom, Lily, and she's struggling what to do with it because she wants to honor Ty's legacy. That's the point here. The money is from Howler's racing wins from last season. So, it turns out Lily's also officially said goodbye to Wade. So, it's about time. It took 15 seasons, but I'm glad we got some closure there. So she eventually decides that she is going to put the money into Cooper's center, which is now becoming Clint and Amy's center. And I thought that was a cool way to, I think because she sees a lot of Logan and Ty's similarities, I think it was a good way for her to honor Ty. And I think if she was going to choose the best way to do that, I think this is the best way. To put the money into troubled kids who have a chance to become better, and that's what Ty did, and I think that's really powerful here. And then we also see that she helps Logan out, and I thought that was really good too. She helps Logan out with schooling, and he's gonna go back to school and go to college, and I think she really saw a lot of Ty there too. And she also found a gift from Ty. This was really sad. An anniversary gift, which was a horseshoe with the word stronger together. And I just think it shows that Amy and Ty were stronger together, but Amy can also be strong by her own, or with someone else. I think that was inspiring too. What will she do? We don't know, but I think it just shows that Ty will always be in Amy's life, no matter what happens. So let's also talk about Lou and Peter. Lou's still struggling with the whole Peter thing because of what Katie said. Will she get back together with Peter or not? I think that's the big question here. So did she get back together with Peter? Yes, everyone, she did. Am I happy about it? I actually am, and I never thought I would say that because I never personally shipped them, but I think as we finally go into this finale, I think they deserved it. I think after all these years of arguing and miscommunication, I think they deserve a second chance. Will it work out? I hope it does this time. If the show's ending soon, I don't think there's enough time for them to totally mess things up again, so I think this is good for them to, I'm glad that they work things out. And I think it's the best option for Katie too. I liked how we actually finally saw, them being mature about it. The only thing is that I feel like Peter really needs to move to Heartland or move in that area, or to Hudson, because I just don't understand how it can work. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know they can make it work. I feel like one of the things I thought of is that he really needs to get a job in Hudson. He can't just stay in Vancouver. Hopefully it'll work out, though, because frankly they deserve that. Okay, let's also talk about Tim and Jessica. So he's still kind of jealous of this Ezra dude that Jessica's talking to. Here's the thing. Jessica's acting kind of weird and Tim's not sure what's going on with her. Turns out that she's been avoiding calls from her doctor in New York. And here's the thing, her cancer might be returning. At that moment, I was shocked. Like, when she explained that to Tim, that was one of the 2 moments this episode that I was tear-eyed. And the other being when Amy opened the anniversary gift. Those 2 things. And I thought both of those moments were good. I'm glad Jessica's healthy because I don't want to see her sick and her die and Tim be unhappy again. I don't want that at all. I don't want any of that to happen. Please, I'm just glad I'm just glad it went that way, and how, even though they had a scare, it's fine for now. And I think that was really empowering. And how Tim and Jessica are really strong together, and Tim's finally found his perfect match. Okay. So let's also talk about Lisa's storyline. So I'm kind of upset in a way, but I think it worked out. I don't understand where was Lisa's racing storyline? It's been gone for seasons, but I thought for the most part they did a good job with it here. Pretty much her horse Platinum Bow from episode 2. She wants to enter it into the famous Kentucky Derby. But here's the thing, her horse gets injured. Or not the horse, her jockey gets injured, which means that she's struggling to find what jockey she should use. She uses the guy's cousin. So it all works out by the end. I do wish we could have seen more with this. It felt kind of rushed. But then Lisa goes off to Kentucky, and here's the good news. Platinum Bow wins the race. So that's kind of it. I know that's a lot to talk about. Comment down below, what did you think of these last 3 episodes? Episode 10 was my personal favorite. I thought these all had good moments in them. I think the themes were great. The only things I wish they could have improved on were maybe the Lou stuff was kind of shaky at times, but besides that, that's it. So, great episodes. I hope it gets renewed for a season 16. So anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching B Studio. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye everyone. Thanks for watching.